Commence primary ignition.
This is the way. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
What is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there, and welcome back to yet again another edition of Mando Talk, and this is the Book of Boba Fett after show coming to you live, unless of course you are on our lovely podcast platforms. We appreciate you checking us out regardless of what platform you are on. And listen, live chat crew, I need you again on this episode. DJ is out. DJ's got some great things going on. Can't wait to hear from DJ, and I've got some thoughts from DJ about this episode. So it's not just me. I'm eventually going to read kind of some things that he put in our show notes here. I haven't read them yet. So just like I did on Tuesday, which, by the way, on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we've been doing predictions. Now, this Tuesday, I was completely wrong. And by the way, if you didn't know, we are sharing spoilers for Chapter 5. So, here we go. Din Djarin is in this chapter exclusively. Like, I know everyone out there is saying this. This really is like a prequel, like a setup for The Mandalorian Season 3, it feels like. Like, I didn't expect to get Din Djarin this entire episode. Only really his story here. I know some people out there are probably viewing that as a negative. You know, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, and Boba Fett's nowhere to be found except in the intro and then on the title. Really, that's it. And then outside of that, it was really just the Mandalorian story. And for me here at Mando Talk, obviously, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of Din Djarin kind of taking the reins and being the head honcho of this episode. But it is something that's out there. It's a feeling that a lot of people have. So yeah, again, can't believe what we got. It was absolutely insane. And hello to Elemental Melon, hello to Blue Harvest Bricks, and RFB said, ooh, I got a question. We'll hold on till you're ready. We'll bring it on, RFB. And that's to everybody that's showing up live with me. Bring on your questions, bring on your thoughts, bring on your theories, what you think of this episode. Tell me in the chat, because again, just like Tuesday, you guys are the co-host, and you guys crushed it on Tuesday, and keep on bringing those in. Hello, Miss Sunflower, and hello, Rafa. Let's get into it. Rafa says, let's talk about the Book of the Mandalorian, and you are 100% with that take there. I really have nothing else to say off the top other than the fact that this became, like Rafa said, the Book of the Mandalorian was cool with me. I'm good with it. I know that's a negative out there, but whatever. That doesn't matter, okay? This is brewing. I felt like this is something that's kind of cool. It's cool to set up the continued connection and the interwebs of this Mando-verse that Filoni have heavily teased, guys. I mean, this is proof in the pudding right here that all of these shows that Favreau and Filoni are co-producing and working on together, they're building to one big story. And there's definitely some things in this episode that even more so touch on that we'll definitely get to. And RFB says not one of us had an expect that Din would be in this to that extent for sure. Okay, well, let's get into it. Let's just run through the episode like I always do. We're just going to hit each plot point. You guys keep the chats coming. Keep telling me what you think as we go. And if I say something completely wrong, let me know. And I'll tell you what, too. This was a Easter egg Easter egg heavy episode 2. So I know I've probably missed some, and I know some of you in the chat and some of you out there are smarter than me, so let me know as soon as you hear me mess up, or if you hear me miss something that was completely awesome. Let me know in the chat, or if you're listening on podcast, click that Discord link that's in the description. Okay, let's get into it. Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. As soon as that title popped up, I had a feeling it was going to be more Mando than expected, but I have to say, when we saw that title, Return of the Mandalorian, I didn't think it was going to be the entire thing. But this episode is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, and I know this is an online sentiment going on right now. Bryce Dallas Howard needs more Star Wars. I know she's been doing a season or an episode of each season that we've gotten in live action television so far. That's not enough. It's too incredible. She gets it every shot. She knows how to frame them. It's great. Let her produce a series. I would be absolutely thrilled if she was the one to kind of lead one of these Mandoverse series. She's knocking it out the park. And of course, as always, the writer is himself, Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau has written every single one of these episodes up to date. I don't know if that's going to continue. We'll see. I know there's rumor out there and news reports about Dave Filoni maybe next, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's finally get into the content of the episode, shall we? And the opener. The opener really kicks off with a bang. The Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, is seen at a meat butcher shop tracking down a bounty. Din Djarin then does come face to face with his bounty, Kaba Baiz, a Klatooinian, as he was able to track him using a tracking fob and identifies him with a bounty puck. And of course, we get the incredible and memorable quotes here where he says, "I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold." And as he says that, that's when the action ensues. Now, in this action, guys, I didn't think we were going to see it. I thought it was just going to be on his belt, on his waist. But in this action, Din Djarin whips out that dark saber. And in the butcher shop, Din Djarin butchers every single individual that is in that room, and he even takes it as far as taking Kaba Baiz cold after cutting him in half and only taking his head. Incredible opener. And I see we've got some action going on in the chat, so let me visit that real quick. Miss Sunflower says, "This episode was so awesome that I did not mind not seeing Boba in it. Facts, I agree with you." Blue Harvest Bricks, absolutely loved the episode. One of the best bits of Star Wars TV so far. Although looking back, it does feel strange coming in the middle of the Boba Fett show. I agree with that. It does kind of feel strange. The most Boba Fett that you're going to get on this viewing of the video, if you're watching on that platform, is this Bounty Hunter Boba Fett baseball jersey. Other than that, there wasn't even a single shot. DJ Foster, what's up, DJ? He made it to the chat, man. What's up? I'm so glad to see you. So glad to hear from you. He says, "Do we now refer to this episode as ROTM, kind of like Return of the Jedi?" Okay, I see it. Return of the Mandalorian. That's a good question. I really like this. And Miss Sunflower agrees with me. Give Bryce her own Star Wars show. Maybe that Bo-Katan show. Ooh, hey, that'd be cool. If that's legit a thing, I'm for that. She really seems to get the Mandalorian kind of culture and themes that would need to carry over into that show. Okay, let's get back into the episode. Again, keep those chats coming. You guys are the co-hosts this evening. Let's keep doing it. Okay, so Din Djarin then allows the butchers to take New Republic credits if they allow him to pass. And of course, you know, they're going to do that because they don't want to get their heads chopped off. And then we get the cue of the Book of Boba Fett music mixed with the Mandalorian music, which I thought was lovely to hear. Now, something that I had in here that I wanted to make sure that I discussed before we moved forward. During the fight, the Beskar steel does very well against blaster fire, and Din Djarin injures himself when struggling to wield the Darksaber. That was something that I didn't really know what the point of that was, but then, you know, I remembered in Rebels they expanded upon whenever Kanan is trying to train Sabine to use the saber. They kind of expressed the heaviness, the difficulty of wielding this thing. And I'll tell you what this episode really did, and I know there's more Darksaber action that we'll get to, but I'll tell you what this episode really did was it made me respect Moff Gideon's fighting a lot more. Because Moff Gideon, he's obviously been training and doing something with this Darksaber to where in The Mandalorian Season 2, he's able to put up a pretty good fight with Din Djarin. So that was one takeaway that I had from seeing that the Darksaber, they continued that idea of the saber being very difficult to maneuver if you are untrained with it because of the weight of it. That really stuck with me. That, okay, Moff Gideon, he's a really good warrior, great at fighting, more respect toward that character. But those are kind of all of my thoughts there on the opener. I mean, the brutality, folks. This was very brutal. I mean, we had somebody cut in half, and they showed it. They showed it, and then they also they covered it a little bit, but then you hear the blade slice through whenever the curtains are closed, and then he walks out with a head in a bag. Like, come on, that was pretty brutal. That wasn't something that I was expecting there, to say the least. Let's see what we got here. Miss Sunflower says, love hearing and seeing the lore of Mandalore. DJ, we're really gearing up for one heck of a crossover with Ahsoka and company in the near future. Absolutely. RFB, he's got a question about that for later as far as the Mandalorian lore potentially. Oh, we're going to get there, and I hope I know enough of it, man. Usually I've got some people helping me with that, but hey, we're going to do the best that we can. Okay, let's get into the next part. It is then revealed that Din Djarin is on an extremely interesting planet, or not planet, sorry. It's just like a habitable kind of location. That's what I put in my notes, because I don't really know what to call this. If you've seen this, if there's something in Legends or something out there that we've seen kind of similar to this habitable location that we got in this chapter, let me know, because I want to research that a little bit more. And Din ends up taking that bounty to collect his reward to kind of like a mini club. Little dancing going on. There was a species that was kind of hitting it a little bit, and I was kind of digging it. I laughed. Maddie laughed whenever we were watching that. Loved seeing that little mini club there. It was just like exclusive little club there. You had to be somebody to get up there, but even though there wasn't really any security, maybe you don't have to be somebody. Maybe it's just a chill spot. So the one who gave Din Djarin the job ends up giving Din some credits and informs him that the information he seeks is down Kolzak Alley by the heat vent towers. And when I heard that, I didn't even put two and two together as far as what was coming next. I didn't really know what he was doing, what kind of information he was seeking, and then when it's eventually revealed what he was looking for, I mean, again, something that in the Book of Boba Fett, I did not expect to get answers for Din Djarin like this from the Book of Boba Fett. Okay, we have some action as far as what this location is. Miss Sunflower says that space station was called Glavis according to the subtitles. Okay, I may have missed that. Thank you for throwing that in there. I'm definitely gonna go in there. And RFB saying, well done, that's the name. So, okay, Glavis, that's the name of this space station. Okay, and then DJ says, looks like the crescent moon from Treasure Planet. Why am I blanking on Treasure Planet right now? Isn't Treasure Planet like a big deal? Treasure Planet, it sounds so familiar, but right now I am not clicking as far as what that is, DJ. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're gonna roast me. But very interesting place. I would love to be here some more. But anyway, as we continue down this plot line of our story here, down this alley, Din Djarin spots a mythosaur skull on a door. It's your typical signet that we've seen so much, and that is the location that he enters, and it is revealed to be the location of the Navarro covert from Season 1 of The Mandalorian, featuring the Armorer and Paz Vizsla as the only remaining members. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, and a thought of mine, and maybe just an interpretation of mine, as far as that mythosaur skull on the door, with it being kind of altered. This is just my own headcanon right now. The reason why I think that it was altered a little bit with like the helmet, like the skull kind of turns into a helmet, is because this specific covert believes that you always have to wear a helmet. I think maybe they've adjusted the logo a little bit, the signet a little bit to fit their creed, to fit their way. And so they put that little arch there at the top of that mythosaur skull to indicate that we're the clan that always wears the lids. We're the clan that always wears our Beskar helmets. Maybe I'm just diving too deep into that. That's just something that I kind of thought of, so I figured that I would share it. So as we get in here, the reveal that it was the armor, super cool. Didn't know what we were approaching there for a second, but then it's revealed that it's the armor, and that just blows my mind. And then Paz walks in, voiced by Jon Favreau, and heals Din Djarin of his darksaber wound. I'm just going to assume that that's back to spray. That you spray on wounds in Star Wars, kind of like hydrogen peroxide for us. That was my headcanon answer for that too. Din Djarin then reveals to the two that he wields the darksaber. You could tell very much to the disliking of Paz, because of course, and then later it's explained, but us, probably the ones that are with me live and the ones listening, we probably knew that just based off of his house name, Vizsla, we knew why that really intrigued him. And that's explained more so in this episode for those that don't know, but really cool and predictable that he wasn't a fan of that. So the armorer then reaffirms that in order to rightfully rule Mandalore, the darksaber must be won by creed through combat. If not, it becomes a curse. Mandalore will be laid to waste and its people scattered. And that's what came to fruition, guys. I mean, the creed, the whatever these Mandalorian people, the way, whatever this group of people are following, it's what happened. Because now obviously Mandalore is laid to waste and its people are completely scattered. And again, there's more explanation on that here in a minute. Then she reveals, of course, I've kind of already alluded to it, that the darksaber was forged over 1,000 years ago by the Jedi and Mandalore Tar Vizsla. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. This is kind of Legends content that I didn't really grow into my Star Wars fandom until after kind of Legends became Legends, and I didn't really feel the need of diving into it. But I was looking at the captions, the subtitles here, and it stood out to me that the line didn't say by the Jedi and Mandalorian Tar Vizsla, but it was by the Jedi and Mandalore Tar Vizsla. I thought that was interesting. Now, something that I think I've heard of before is that the absolute ruler of Mandalore is called the Mandalore. I don't know if I'm completely off there, and I'm sure maybe RFB or somebody else in the chat is going to know that answer for me. But I thought that was interesting. Maybe I'm diving too deep into that. Okay, Miss Sunflower has a theory. Miss Sunflower says, I have a theory that the armorer's helmet, which has horns in it, is a tribute to Darth Maul. Ooh, because I believe the Children of the Watch is the sect that is loyal or who stayed loyal to Maul. Ooh, I like that. I really like that, Miss Sunflower. That would be a really cool theory to come alive there. I would absolutely love to see that. Let's see where we're at. Miss Sunflower says that that's right. Okay, so I think that's regarding, being called the Mandalore. And then RFB says, so Bo-Katan doomed the Mandalorians by taking the darksaber questions? I think so. I think that's what's teased, and I think that's what we're led to believe, at least. And that's what this sect believes for sure. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Din reveals he has completed his quest of delivering Grogu to Jedi and is offered to rejoin the covert as they rebuild, and accepts, with every single one of them saying, this is the way. And it was great to hear just that banter that occurs when that happens. This is the way. This is the way. This is the way. Of course, only this time there's only 3 of them, and not so many of them like there were in the first season of The Mandalorian. So, next up, While setting up for forging, Din and Paz discuss how Din came across the Darksaber, revealing that he defeated Moff Gideon, for which it makes Paz question if he killed them, which really interesting moments here. Din reveals that Din reveals that Moff Gideon was sent off to the New Republic for interrogation, where he will face justice for his crimes. Paz questions this. Death would have been justice for his atrocities, which the Armorer then agrees with. Armorer says the blood of millions of our kind is on his hands. And then, of course, to finish this off, Din says that Moff Gideon will be executed for his crimes by the New Republic Tribunal, and the Armorer says we shall see very doubtfully. So, obviously, I think Moff Gideon's going to continue to be the not main, because, I have the theory that it's really Thrawn in the background, but like the main visual villain, at least, for The Mandalorian Season 3. So, he's definitely going to be getting out of that. The Tribunal is not going to execute Moff Gideon, because we're not done with that character. Now, the thing that really stood out to me here was when the Armorer says the blood of millions of our kind is on his hands. I have a theory, I have an expectation that someday in one of the seasons of The Mandalorian, we're going to learn that Moff Gideon was there on Mandalore when it was destroyed. And I think that would be a cool connection. I think it would connect to this line that the Armorer says. I think it would land hard with this line that the Armorer says. So that's just my own personal headcanon right now. We'll see if that occurs, but you let me know what you think of that theory. All right, and then we've got some more quotes from the Armorer, and she just starts dropping bombs. And we get bombs visually here in a minute, but she starts dropping bombs as far as just history and Mandalorian culture and the Mandalorian way. And it was, again, so surprised that we got this in an episode of the Book of Boba Fett. The quote that starts this all, she says, the songs of eons past foretold of the mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. Sadly, it only exists in legends. Now, obviously, when I heard that, I was like, ooh, we're saying that mythosaur is only in legends right now for Star Wars. So that was a little bit on the nose. I laughed, I chuckled a little bit, but I also think this is a tease for me to finally get something that I've really, 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 really wanted to see Din Djarin get on a mythosaur, or somebody get on a mythosaur eventually at the end of this thing whenever the Mandoverse has wrapped up. I mean, I feel like that would be pretty incredible, and maybe that's the tease here, that eventually whenever the new age of Mandalore rises, because of Din Djarin potentially, maybe he rides one of those mythosaurs. You let me know what you think of that, though. Let's see in the chat. RFB says, don't think we've seen the last of Moff Gideon. No doubt. Tim Arnold says, what's up? What's up, Tim? Glad you're here. Joseph Todd. That's a new name I haven't seen in the chat before. What's up, Joseph? Glad you're here. I find it wild that you guys somehow predicted that Mando would walk through a triangular door. Though it was square, he makes a triangle with the flaps. Dude, I didn't realize that. That is all to DJ. All DJ's credit on that one. He mentioned to me that it was going to be a triangular door, so all credit due to DJ on that one. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. The Armorer then questions Din regarding the Beskar spear he carries that he was gifted by Ahsoka. Remember, Ahsoka fought and beat the Magistrate, and that's where that spear comes from. And the Armorer reveals that the Mandalorian Beskar is only for protection, not weapons, when revealing that the spear could pierce through Beskar armor. Now, Din then offers this spear to be forged into armor for a foundling, in which Din requests that it be made for a specific foundling, and of course, we know that to be Grogu. Din reveals that he wants to go and see him, make sure he is safe, even though it's not the Jedi way to have those attachments. This is completely opposite of that Mandalorian creed of loyalty and solidarity. So Din Djarin is set on going to see Grogu. Now, do you think we're going to see Grogu in this series, or is this something that's coming in a later episode or later series or season of The Mandalorian? I don't know. I still haven't personally worked my thoughts around that. I know there's a major tease at the end of this chapter, but we'll talk about that once we get there as far as the plot line goes. Okay, next up in the episode was this thing about I don't know, going back to see the destruction of Mandalore, and of course, to kind of spark this, Din asks about Bo-Katan, and the armor then kind of just goes on this long kind of speech, these different things that she's saying here. Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale, she says. She once laid claim to rule Mandalore based purely on blood and the sword you now possess, but it was gifted to her and not won by creed. Bo-Katan was born of a mighty house, but they lost sight of the way. Her rule ended in tragedy. They lost their way, and we lost our world. Had our sect not been cloistered on the moon of Concordia, we would not have survived the Great Purge. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that's listening back. I believe that the Death Watch were exiled to Concordia in the Clone Wars or somewhere. Some group of extreme Mandalorians were placed on Concordia, which makes me even more so believe that the remaining group of Mandalorians that Din Djarin has been hanging out with is exclusively Death Watch and exclusively extremist as far as following the Mandalorian way and doing the things that started the Mandalorian dynamic culture. But you let me know if that's wrong. I feel like that is a connection that we've seen. And then whenever she says that, this is when we get the cut to an incredible flashback on Mandalore of Imperial TIE fighters flying through and just bombing, dropping bombs, and it was really great visuals, visuals in these moments. And then some more quotes, some more important information. And I'm only directly reading this because it's that important for us to hear it more and more and more to try to wrap our minds around all of this. Those born of Mandalore strayed away from the path. Eventually, the Imperial interlopers destroyed all that we knew and loved in the night of 1,000 tears. And this is when we then kind of get the flash moment of the capital, Sundari, being destroyed. It explodes. And of course, we also get a moment where we see these K2SO kind of units. I don't know what the units are called specifically, but K2 units and probe droids are seen kind of wiping out anyone that remains during this flashback. And then more quotes continue. Here we go. Only those that walked away escaped the curse prophesied in the creed. Though our numbers were scattered to the winds, our adherence to the way has preserved our legacy for the generations until we may someday return to our home world. So it seems like the only Mandalorians outside of Bo-Katan and her clan that are left are Death Watch, Children of the Watch, those type of people. So I feel like plotline wise, I think Din Djarin is going to become that middle ground, and I do think this is potentially the setup for Din becoming the true ruler of Mandalore, and he's somebody that's now made connections with both sides. With Bo-Katan, he's also now made connections with this sect of people that he's worked with his entire upbringing ever since he was a foundling. Those are just my thoughts. Those are my theories from hearing all of that. Incredible stuff, and I'm sure there's some more diving into. I wish DJ was with me live to just run through that so much. Like, there's so much we could talk about that. I did not expect to have this conversation during the Book of Boba Fett. It absolutely blows my mind on this. Let me go and visit the chat. It's been a minute since I've kind of read you guys. Rafa says, I like the legend of the curse. It's culture. I loved it. The retrospective of the attack on Mandalore like Terminator was awesome. Absolutely. Joseph Todd, I don't think I want to see Grogu and Boba. Okay, that's fair. Solely because he will steal the show. Yeah. Grogu definitely has that effect of stealing the show. Mando and Grogu have to get back together and stay on Tatooine for it all to make sense. Okay, let me read that again. Sorry, Joseph. Mando and Grogu have to get back together and stay on Tatooine for it all to make sense. Okay, so you're saying that once Mando gets Grogu or sees Grogu, that eventually they got to get their way back to Tatooine regardless for this connection with the Book of Boba Fett to work. You're right. Absolutely 100%. Okay, RFB, the Night of 1,000 Tears, bomb dropped, was the capital of Mandalore. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the capital that got destroyed, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Joseph Todd says part of the 7 DJ mentioned. Ooh, okay. I'm following now, Joseph. You're saying that when DJ predicted the 7 Magnificent Seven group that now Grogu is going to be part of that group. I would love that. I would love that. RFB says those are KX droids. Okay, thank you. Miss Sunflower says that seems like it, Caleb. The Mandos in Concordia are all Death Watch. So are all the Mandos left all Death Watch? Seems, and RFB says it seems to be. It really seems to be that way. That's just my take. And then we got some Rafa in the chat again. I think we will see Grogu on the season 3 of The Mandalorian. The gift that Mando made to Grogu could be pieces from the Grogu's lightsaber. And, could be pieces for the Grogu's lightsaber. And Luke will train Mando to use the Darksaber. That would be cool. That would be cool. Now, I do think if we go that deep, I think that's a Mando 3 storyline, personally, and I think you're kind of going that route, too. Miss Sunflower says, I have another theory. Considering Book of Boba Fett is like Mando 2.5, I feel like Boba will mentor Din on how to rule Mandalore with respect. I like that. We've gotten that line a lot, that we're supposed to be ruling with respect. That'd be a cool little connection. Blue Harvest Bricks, the Mandalore visuals were simply amazing. Terminator visuals. Yeah, you're right. It was absolutely stunning. Everything that we saw there on Mandalore was stunning. And I hope to go back. And guys, it seems like the end game of the Mandalorian, the Mandoverse, is to get the Mandalorian people back on Mandalore. I think we're going that direction. Okay, let's get back into the plot. I appreciate all of the chat responses here that you're bringing in here, especially with DJ gone. It really helps as far as getting some other theories, other thoughts, other predictions, because like I've always said, I like hearing you guys more than I like hearing myself, so keep them coming. Okay, Din Djarin begins training with the Darksaber with the armor, but is interrupted by Paz challenging Din Djarin to duel for the Darksaber. Now, correct me if I'm wrong again. I feel like this is something that I've seen online. Of course, it's not confirmed, but I'm not somebody that dives deep into the languages, but I've seen people say that whenever they were training, the armor was counting in Mandoa. That would be a really cool connection if that is, in fact, true. Now, this fight for the Darksaber, not something that I was surprised by. It would make sense for Paz to challenge since it's in his family. Really cool vibroblade. Love to see that in action. Of course, DJ would roast me for saying that this is recency, but it reminds me of the Chris blade or the Chris knife that we saw in Dune. But of course, I'm not saying that it's copying Dune. I just think that that's what it reminded me of when I saw it, even though we saw the vibroblade literally 2 years ago in season 1 of The Mandalorian. So that's just, thoughts on that. And then the shield. We've seen that shield before in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. Really cool moment. And just all of this action was great. The fight between these two, the fact that these two beastly dudes, especially Paz, couldn't even really move the Darksaber effectively by the end of this thing because it just gets so heavy. So great action. And man, the shininess of the Darksaber on Din Djarin's armor, man, it's just so cool. I can't get over the visuals of this scene and everything that transpired whenever Din Djarin's with this group. It's absolutely insane. So after Din Djarin then wins the duel, the armorer questions Paz and Din Djarin if they had ever removed their helmet or if another ever removed it. And honestly, I thought Din Djarin was gonna lie there for a second, but he tells the truth, and the armorer proclaims that Din is no longer a Mandalorian. The armorer reveals that according to Creed, one may only be redeemed in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore, which have all been destroyed. We just got that explanation. So Din's kind of left not knowing what to do, but he ends up picking up the Darksaber and leaves the covert. And so I think that he's probably going to follow up on that living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore thing. Again, because I'm somebody that believes we're going back to Mandalore, and I'm somebody that believes we're eventually going to see Mandalore living again, and people there, and Mandalorians there. But we'll see. You let me know if you believe that's going to happen. Okay, Miss Sunflower says, I feel like, before we leave these moments, let me go to the chat one more time before we continue on with the plot. Miss Sunflower says, I feel like the gift is Beskar chainmail. That would be cool. It certainly looked like that was teased with the remnants, like the itty bitty pieces that were shown. Joseph Todd says the battle for the dark saber gave me Black Panther vibes. I could see that, Joseph. I like that. I always like whenever we can make connections to Marvel here. Miss Sunflower, Din defeated Paz, and as stickler to rules and traditions, Paz and the Armorer will honor Din's legitimate claim to Mandalore. So if Bo or any Mando questions this claim, hopefully they will back him up. You know, and I didn't even think about that, Miss Sunflower. I didn't think about the possibility of the Armorer and Paz to eventually honor Din's claim because of the saber that he has. I just thought that because he removed his helmet, immediately they don't view him as legit. That's just my current thought, and maybe that's just because it's been such a heavy plot line throughout the Mandoverse so far, and I can finally say Mandoverse because this is the Mandalorian crossing over into the Book of Boba Fett, and this is all telling one big story. So far, Din removing the helmet has been probably top 3, top 5 at least plot points of this Mandoverse so far. So I feel like that's a big deal to them. If they do end up honoring Din's claim to Mandalore because of his saber, I think it's going to take a while to get to that moment. Okay, let's leave the covert, unfortunately, because man, that stuff was super cool. And of course, you know, you throw ideas out saying that, you know, we're eventually going to try to get back to Mandalore. We want House Vizsla, House whatever, to be powerful. Guys, you know how I am. Game of Thrones. It gave me Game of Thrones vibes. I can't help it. And Jon Favreau has said himself in quotes that he hopes to tell this overarching story Game of Thrones style. So I see it, John. I see it, and I'm loving what you're putting down. Okay, before we move on, Rafa says one last thing here. The coolest thing was that he was like a review of what... Oh, the coolest thing was this was like a review of what happened with Bo on Rebels. Absolutely. It's kind of like it's a follow-up to that. Absolutely, Rafa. Great call. And maybe that's why I enjoy this story so much, is because, guys, you know I love Rebels, and Rebels really dives into more... Before The Mandalorian, it dove into Mandalorian culture, probably arguably the most, visually at least, in canon, but now we're getting that in live action, and it's super cool. All right, so Din Djarin leaves the covert, and he gets on a flight to Tatooine, but not before having to remove his weapons. I thought that was cool. We saw one of those RFB or somebody in the chat, help me out here. I know that this is the droid unit that's like the DJ at Galaxy's Edge at Disney, but I'm blanking on the unit's name right now. But Din gets on that flight to Tatooine, and when he's aboard the flight, a young Rodian is in awe of Din Djarin, which I interpreted as Din was then reminded of Grogu, because he saw like the father of that Rodian kind of say, no, you need to focus on me, you don't get in that Mandalorian's face, and that made Din think of taking care of Grogu, and that makes him pull out the wrapping that the Armorer gave him for the gift that's given to, and chat's telling me RFB, Miss Sunflower saying RX Droid, thank you. He pulls out the Mandalorian armor, the Beskar, whatever it is, he pulls that out, and it's wrapped just like Grogu's face. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. You know, I didn't get emotional, but like when you see it, you just make that sad face. You're like, oh, that's so tough. It's so tough that he's not with Grogu, and you can tell. And you know what? Maddie, my wife Maddie, whenever we were watching it together, and Din Djarin was on the elevator after he had made the delivery of the head, and he's on the elevator alone, like kind of looking at his leg, Maddie said he looks sad. He looks sad. He looks like he's missing somebody, and I agree with that, and I felt the need to repeat it because I agree with it so much. And he's definitely struggling with some things. He feels like he's missing out for sure, and you can tell that he longs to see Grogu again. Okay, so Din officially then arrives on Tatooine. he gets his armor back, and he goes to, or not armor back, he gets his weapons back, and he goes to Pelimoto to purchase a replacement for the Razor Crest. Joseph says, not gonna lie, I got emotional. Hey, no shame. I was almost there. I was really, really, really almost there, especially with the music whenever he pulled that out. And I feel like on a second watch, I heard Grogu giggles in the music too. Like, ooh, that really got me. But yeah, we get to Pelimoto's, and we see a BD droid that is spotted with, of course, the familiar pit droids and R5. Really cool connections, and of course, the BD droid in live action. This is a direct connection to Jedi Fallen Order. Great. And later in the episode, whenever he does his little droid paws up and down out of excitement, come on, guys. They know it. Bryce Dallas Howard, Jon Favreau, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with this stuff. The replacement for the Razor Crest is then revealed to be an N1 starfighter that was, of course, handmade for the Royal Guard and commissioned personally by the Queen of Naboo. So the rumors, the reports from last week from Bespin Bulletin absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It's crazy. I kind of wish I hadn't seen that rumor, that report, because as soon as Din shows up and Pelimoto says, I've got a replacement Razor Crest for you, I knew that we were about to see an N1. Now, I didn't know how it was going to look. Not surprised that it ends up not being put together at all, because, then we get our connection back to season 1 of The Mandalorian, putting together a starfighter, a ship together with someone else that The Mandalorian trusts. Really cool. Really cool. Let's see. Miss Sunflower says BD droid looks so good in live action. I was very impressed with how the BD droid looked. I agree. RFB, Pelimoto, who knew? Yeah, I'm surprised that we saw her again. Now, we saw her earlier in the Book of Boba Fett, just in a background shot. I thought that was just there to make sure that the audience knew, okay, we're crossing into Mandalorian timeline here. But yeah, she's in the Book of Boba Fett episode more than Boba Fett himself was in this episode. So there you go. Miss Sunflower says Pelimoto is the real G, hooking Din up with the N1 starfighter and dating a Jawa. Yeah, dating the Jawa, that was something. That was something. Pelimoto then kind of talks Din into getting and working on that N1 with the fact that it was made pre-Empire, so it is off the grid, and the fact that it can jump into hyperspace with no docking ring. Okay, so then these two begin working together to fix and finish the N1 starfighter, and this moment is so full of Easter eggs and small reveals, and please let me know if I forget one. I know I'm going to. I know I'm going to overlook an Easter egg, something that you saw that I didn't, so let me know in the chat, in the comments, or if you're listening on podcast, hop on over to Discord and tell me there, because I love seeing those Easter eggs. So BD is helping the two complete the job, which definitely gave me even more so Jedi Fallen Order vibes, because, we get the holographic imagery of helping with, scanning and things like that. Perfect Jedi Fallen Order vibes. And of course, the chat's already kind of mentioned here, Peli reveals that she used to date a Jawa. Did not see that ever coming. If you asked me yesterday, not yesterday, obviously, because yesterday was Wednesday, that's when we saw the episode. If you asked me Tuesday when we did our predictions, Pelimoto's dated a Jawa. If you said, is that a thing? I would have probably said, why are we going there? But here we are. Pelimoto dated a furry Jawa. And I don't need graphic images. I don't need details. I don't need to know how she knows that. Let's just leave it at that. It's very comedic. It's comedic relief. Of course, we get scurriers everywhere, which I believe are just like the rats of or the mice of Star Wars. Really cool. I love seeing those little things. Pelimoto has never been off-world. That's revealed. Not surprised in the slightest in that. She seems like she's been there forever, and she seems very happy to be on Tatooine forever. The object in the trash compactor, this one was really cool, guys. I don't know why I got so excited for this one, but the object in the trash compactor from A New Hope, wherever they were... whenever Han was trying to keep the trash compactor from compacting, that same device is used for this N1 starfighter. I lost my brains whenever I saw that, whenever I saw the Jawa hand that to Din Djarin, and it's revealed that this thing is a cryogenic density combustion booster. I'm always, as soon as I watch A New Hope and I see that moment, I'm calling it that. I'm going to view that scene differently forever now, honestly, because I'm going to think of that thing. I never would have thought that thing went inside of a ship, let alone was going to go inside of an N1 starfighter. And I'm not saying it's the same one, but that device, the way that thing looks, that was made for going in a starship. Didn't know that. Really cool connection. And then the next thing, and this was probably, I feel like, the most connective thing, well, obviously other than getting Din Djarin into the story, but whenever Pelimoto brings up the fact that the Pikes are there, I think that she's well aware of the Pikes' presence on Tatooine and the damage, the destruction, the chaos, the problems that they are causing. That was done very intently. That was brought up because that is a direct connection as to what we have been seeing in the Book of Boba Fett. Really, really great use of throwing that line in there, because now Din Djarin's going to be aware of it. Whenever he comes back to help Boba Fett, he's going to be aware that, you know, the Pikes are probably who he's going against. So we'll see what that entails. All right, let's see the chat. We've got Miss Sunflower says, "Don't Jawas look like a beaver or a rat? Kind of creepy." Now we know what that long rod was for. Yes, we do. Joseph says, "I like that you can still see Mando's stubbornness, not wanting the starfighter." Yep, but he realizes the only way he can see Grogu is to use this ship. Grogu changes his life. Yeah, Grogu changed all of our lives, right? Like, Grogu has forever impacted my life, my future kids' life. Like, Grogu's everywhere. He's everywhere, and people are eating Grogu up. They're loving him. All right, let's see. That kind of wraps up the things that I saw in this Easter egg-filled moments of this episode whenever they're building this N1, and then finally the N1 is complete. Now, of course, there's still some exposing parts. I think that's probably going to stay there, though, because of the aesthetic. It's really cool, but it's shiny. It's still got a hint of yellow here and there, the Naboo yellow. Really, really beautiful looking ship. It's going to fly off the shelves whenever they decide to make a toy release of this thing. And, I mean, I want one. I want to get one of those things. And as Din and Peli are preparing to get that N1 out for flight, a big, and I mean big, emphasis is made on the droid port being hugged out. 1,000%, guys. Come at me and tell me if I'm wrong, but 1,000% Grogu is riding in that droid port, and it's going to be the cutest thing ever. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to, like I said, it's going to fly off the shelves whenever you see that toy with Din Djarin in the cockpit and Grogu in that droid port. It is going to be awesome. I'm going to laugh and be so giddy whenever that occurs. And yes, this N1, the way they put it together, very much so like a muscle car as far as the engine exposed, the rattling of the engine, the purring of the engine. Absolutely incredible the way that they put this thing together. I love that it still calls back to, you know, the N1 that, you know, Lucas and all of those created, but it's also, you know, it's its little own new little thing. So it's honoring the past, but also kind of making it a little bit different and making it fit our story. Love it. Okay. Din Djarin now takes off. He takes off on this thing, and it's pretty remarkable. Oh, okay. Miss Sunflower says Grogu will be there eating his macaroons. Yeah. Oh gosh, Miss Sunflower. Yeah, that is going to be something. That is going to be something. When Din Djarin takes off on this N1, we flash to so many cool shots. Beggar's Canyon and other pod racing track moments and visuals are shown. And of course, that made my prequel heart happy. I mean, Phantom Menace is the first Star Wars film that I remember seeing. So, of course, I was absolutely thrilled whenever they showed this, and I didn't even, again, crazy that we're here, guys. Didn't even think that this was possible. not in the slightest. And I have to say this too, and I think this may be a little bit later in my notes, but it's natural to go ahead and mention it. Maybe I'm the only one that thought of this, but I think that, Din with the N1 now has the potential to have so many cool, like, Top Gun-esque shots and visuals. And they even kind of do that a lot. Not a lot, but a little bit whenever he gets up in space. And you see just, like, the planet of Tatooine and the dark, starry space just kind of rotate behind him. Gosh, that was so cool. I want a Top Gun version Mandalorian episode now, wherever we're just exclusively in this N1 along for the ride. Come on. And him learning how to pilot it even more. Of course, I feel like that's what all of this was for. But gosh, that was so cool. So cool to see him in that thing. Okay, so Din does, after kind of all of these cool moments, being on the pod racing track and Beggar's Canyon, and yes, this made my heart so happy, like you're mentioning there, RFB in the chat. This is definitely for our generation, for my generation, the ones that grew up with prequels, and so glad that they're doing this. But he ends up saying, okay, you know what? Let's test this sucker. Let's go out to space. And when he gets up to space, he's doing his maneuvers. He's getting way too close to a commercial flight, and some New Republic Rangers flag him down because he's flying too close to a commercial ship. Now, I didn't think anything of this. Thought it was just going to be 2 new Rangers, but of course, this episode slaps. It crushes it. It's a banger. It keeps on coming. One of the Rangers is revealed that it's Captain Karsateva, which is Paul Sun Lee, great guy, great actor, great performer. Of course, he was from Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Liked one of Mando Talk's tweets recently, by the way, which is really cool. So follow Mando Talk at Mando Talk on Twitter and also Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. Really cool dude. He's got his own YouTube channel where he just talks about stuff. So I highly recommend getting this guy some more, and I think we will. Captain Teva then asked Din about an Imperial Remnants incident on Navarro due to a Razor Crest showing up on a transponder log after hearing Din's voice and it sounding familiar. Guys, again, we're going down speculation lane. I'm not saying that this is going to be in the Book of Boba Fett, not in the slightest, but this here is really, for some reason, it's giving me Thrawn trilogy vibes, Heir to the Empire trilogy, Thrawn trilogy vibes from Timothy Zahn, and it's going to connect, guys. I think this could connect to Mount Tantus at the end of The Bad Batch. It's going to tell this overarching story of how Thrawn is actually involved. There's a lot that you could pull from this, as far as, the New Republic is well aware of these Imperial remnants and this cloning and this stuff that's going on behind the scenes, because at Navarro, this incident that he's referring to, we see that Snoke-like looking figure in a tube. It's going to be so cool. I'm speaking it into existence. We're going to have a lot. This is going to connect a lot to Thrawn. I hope. And then, of course, before Din, answers some more and we get some more information about this, he bounces. And when I say he bounces, like he just takes off. It's pretty cool. Before answering those questions, he does that, and then the Rangers decide not to report it. Because, of course, who wants to do that? Who wants to do paperwork whenever you can just fly in space? Like, come on. Why would you do that? Just keep on flying, Rangers. Keep on doing your thing. And before we leave the Rangers, I have to say, I know that the reports and rumors of Cara Dune being the main actor for the Rangers of the New Republic series is a thing. Make Captain Carson Teva the guy for the show. Like, come on. We got the cool Ranger to do it for. Like, let's do this. I would love to see that series still. And then that way we can dive more so in, like, these political things that are getting set up. Like, I know that if they try to throw these political things into The Mandalorian and other things, that maybe it won't be the vibe for some people. But make the Rangers of the New Republic that thing where you can focus on what's going on with this New Republic. What's really brewing behind the scenes? What's this Thrawn stuff? What's this cloning stuff? What's this Snoke stuff? What's this Mount Tantus stuff? Like, come do that with the Rangers of the New Republic. I feel like this little moment here made me feel very passionate about that possibility with those type of characters and with that New Republic show specifically. But you let me know what you think of that. Okay, before we go back to the sands of Tatooine and we wrap up this episode, let me go back to the chat. We're going back to here. So the last one I read was RFB saying that this is a callback for my generation. So Miss Sunflower says, yep, Top Gun vibes with the spinning move. Joseph says, Grogu is to Din as Goose is to Maverick. Yep, love that one. Love that one. Miss Sunflower, but how will Din bounty hunt now? That ship has little to no cargo storage. I'm glad you asked that, Miss Sunflower. I don't think that Din is interested in that life now. I think Din really only completed that bounty hunt mission to find his covert, the Mandalorians, the covert that he grew up with, that he became a foundling with. And outside of that, I think he has no interest in bounty hunting. I think his main interest now is to get back to Mandalore, get back to those waters, be completely, forgiven, or I forget the phrase that they used earlier in this episode. I think that's his main objective now. So that's I think that is confirmation, the size of this N1, that he is kind of out of the bounty hunting game, which is kind of a bummer. I love those bounty hunting missions, but we're on to bigger and better things. Rafa says, the pod racing track, I had tears on my eyes watching that. Like you said, this reminds me of my childhood. Absolutely. Miss Sunflower, this is why I think Luke will be in Book of Boba Fett. That stunt double is there. Was that the stunt double? Is that Second Ranger the stunt double for Luke? Did I completely miss that? Hopefully Shamook will slay the deep faking. Yeah, maybe. Miss Sunflower, maybe not to the point of going with Din and Grogu to Tatooine, but a little cameo. I didn't even notice that, if that was really him. I can't believe if that was him, I completely missed it. Tim Arnold says, wouldn't it be wild if it was revealed that the Mandalorian forger was actually Omega? It would be wild, Tim, but I have to say, after this episode, I feel like the armor is just too intense to be Omega. And I know that's a big fan theory that Omega is the armorer, but I don't see Omega being that intense and that strict with the rules personally. I feel like Omega would just do the right thing regardless. And in my opinion, the right thing when Din Djarin removed his helmet was exactly that. I feel like the right thing to do was to reveal your face to this child that you have grown to love and make that deeper connection. So I feel like that is Omega's character a little bit too. So that's why I am not of the one that believes in that theory of Omega being the armor. But if that happened, I would definitely enjoy that connection. That would be so cool. That would be absolutely cool. Miss Sunflower says, yes, the Second Ranger is Luke's stunt double, Max Lloyd Jones. So he's there to shoot a Ranger scene for a reason. I didn't even think about that. Didn't even realize that or think about that. Well, we might have to discuss that on the prediction episode on Tuesday whenever we do our predictions for Chapter 6. Ooh, man, that's something to think about. I'm going to have to think about that between now and Tuesday, because there would be a lot of cool things there to hit on. Okay, let's go next. We are now back on the sands of Tatooine. And of course, as soon as Din Djarin lands, he says wizard. It was wizard. Gosh, come on. Phantom Menace, let's go. Fennec Shand shows up to then offer Din Djarin a job to work for Boba Fett. And finally, we've caught up to this connection of getting Din Djarin on board, working for Boba. Din Djarin says it's on the house since it is for Boba, but he has to visit a little friend first. Now, who is that little friend? Obviously, it's got to be Grogu, right? It's got to be Grogu. Now, I have some internal things that I've been debating as far as what that means for the Book of Boba Fett, and I'll just tease it here, the two options that I see right now, and then maybe we'll discuss more on Tuesday. Let's do that. So I feel like it's still an option maybe to where Din going off to see Grogu is actually in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, but then there's a little bit of a time jump between now and chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, to where when Din comes back, the events of season 3 of The Mandalorian have concluded, and he's now working for Boba. That's just a thought. What do you think? You let me know of that option. That's option 1, where Din Djarin leaves to go find Grogu. There's a time jump, because that would be then the story of season 3 of The Mandalorian, and when he comes back to Tatooine in chapter 6, hopefully, there was a little bit of a gap. So Boba's been more so the crime lord. He's more so the daimyo at this point. That's honestly the option that I feel like I'm leaning toward the most right now, because I still don't think we'll see Luke, but I do think we could see Grogu show up. So we'll see. But then, of course, option 2 is I think maybe the opener of the next episode is Din Djarin showing up with Luke and Grogu just to kind of pick him up and have a little conversation. And then the series title, The Book of Boba Fett, flashes, and we're off back to Tatooine. That's my second thought. Right now, at least. We'll see between now and Tuesday. And, of course, we'll definitely see next Wednesday. Well, those are all of my thoughts. But like I said at the top, DJ did kind of send me some of his. So I am going to read some of the thoughts that he sent me. So I know that, I love hearing DJ's thoughts. So I know you love hearing DJ's thoughts. So stick around. I still got some more content for you guys. Don't go anywhere. Let me know what you think of DJ's thoughts in the chat, though. Here we go. I'm just going to read them, of course, because he's not here. So I'm just going to read them verbatim, exactly how he's got them. And any thoughts I have as I go, as I say them, I'll share them. All right, DJ says the following. Although this wasn't really a Book of Boba Fett episode, more like an episode of The Mandalorian, it serves some major purposes that I believe set up the rest of the Book of Boba Fett season, while also setting up season 3 of Mando. Absolutely. Din coming into the story was exactly where it needed to go in order to connect to Chapter 4 and Chapter 7 at the very least. I have a feeling that Din's return to the story won't have much to do with Chapter 6. Okay, so we're getting into prediction mode there. He's saying that Din maybe won't be in Chapter 6 a lot, but that he is going to show up more so in Chapter 7, the finale. Next point he's got, it was the perfect stepping stone. I said to Caleb it was truly like a novel when one chapter focuses on the main character but deviates to give some background on a separate character, much like the High Republic novels and Master and Apprentice. At the end of the main story, which in this case is Book of Boba Fett, we will see the culmination of the two storylines converge, which will in turn set up Mando Season 3. This episode was the best Star Wars content since Rogue One. Wow. Rogue One has held the top spot in my list of favorite Star Wars stories since its premiere in 2016. With that being said, this is the best TV content to date. I will probably rewatch this episode more than any other going forward. Bryce Dallas Howard can do Star Wars for the rest of her career, and I wouldn't complain at all. She knows how to bring a great story to life, and she deserves all the praise she's getting. Final thoughts? I'm looking forward to the eventual team-up and throwdown between Team Boba and the Pikes. And, of course, we're going to have to get some more thoughts between now and Tuesday to see what he thinks as far as, like, details of are we still getting that Magnificent Seven group that he kind of predicted in our prediction stream? Does he really still believe as we get closer to that date that we're not getting Din Djarin in Chapter 6, but more so in Chapter 7? And it sounds like he's saying that maybe there's not a time jump. Maybe I'm trying to read in between the lines there too much. But we'll see. You guys, you let me know of all of those different things. I got another message here. I've got another message here from DJ at the very bottom of my notes. Let me just glance over this for a second to make sure that I'm good to read this. Okay. So it looks like DJ was just, never mind, folks. I apologize. It said Caleb, and then it was kind of a message. It was just something that I needed to read, just some personal thing. So I apologize for that, guys. I just needed to read it, see what was said. Everything's all great. Everything's all good, though. DJ, can't wait to have you back. Those thoughts are absolutely perfect. Absolutely great. And Miss Sunflower says, absolutely agree with DJ. All right, guys. Well, those are Mando Talk's thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in Discord. Click that link that's in our description to head over there and continue to chat with us more so, because there's so much more that can be said, but we have kind of gone over our hour time slot here because this is such a good episode, guys. I didn't even mention that off the top. It's probably my favorite Book of Boba Fett episode for sure. And that's sad to say that it's my favorite one, even though Boba Fett isn't in this episode. But hey, I'm just calling it how I see it, okay? I'm just calling it how I see it. But again, I'm so appreciative of you guys. I know that right now with DJ gone, it's just me, and sometimes that might seem like I just ramble and go on and on and on. But you know, it's weird. It's weird doing this hour-long show and just talking and not talking with anybody else. So I appreciate you being in the chat so much. It really helps me because this is new. This is uncharted territory, and so thankful for you guys, and so thankful for the Book of Boba Fett. Let's keep getting some new Star Wars content each week. We got 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. And Miss Sunflower, you just wrapped it up perfectly in the chat by saying this episode is wizard. This episode is wizard. I agree wholeheartedly. But until next time, of course, on Tuesday, we will do our predictions live at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You'll get them probably same format as this previous Tuesday, if I had to guess. It'll probably be me, and then DJ will send me his predictions, and then we'll get your Discord predictions as well, and of course, your live chat predictions. But let's get out of here. I hope you have a blessed week, and thank you so much for being here. And as always, we have spoken.